Well, hello everyone. Thank you all for joining us for today's Sage Intacct demonstration. I've got a presentation up, however, the idea is to move on swiftly to the demo. I would just like to take a moment to introduce us as a partner and explain what gives us the right to talk about Sage Intacct, and then give a high-level view of what Sage Intacct is before I'll hand over to my colleague Emma, who will take you through the demo. We know that you are coming from different sectors and are in the exploration stage at the moment. So the idea of this webinar is to give you a first good view of what Sage Intacct is, what it can do for you, and then we'll follow up with you individually to see where you are in your journey and discuss what else you'd like to see that may be more specific to you. So my name is Linda. I'm one of the sales consultants here at Vision33, and I'll be working with you to really get to know you and understand your company, your current challenges, and what you like to achieve with a new finance system. I'll then help you understand where Sage Intacct fits in. And Emma is one of our certified Sage Intacct consultants. She's got a rich experience of the software, and she also comes from an accounting background, which means that she'll bring both technical and financial insights to your implementation. And as you get to know us more, you'll see that we bring in our consultants from the delivery team early on in the conversation. And that's just to make sure that you're surrounded with the right level of expertise throughout our partnership. Feel free to ask questions in the chat box at any time, and we will answer these at the end. Right, so just a little bit about us at Vision33. So it's not just about the new piece of software you be choosing. And even though Sage Intacct is a very user-friendly system to navigate, to make sure you get a successful experience of the software and that you're taking advantage of its full potential, you'll have us here as a partner that will set up the solution to your needs and business case. But not only that, but a partner who will build a support system around you, who gives you advice and who you can lean on. So for over 30 years, we at Vision33 have helped businesses just like you to automate their business processes by switching to cloud finance platforms such as Sage Intacct. We are the largest global business partner for Sage Intacct and also a Sage Intacct Platinum Club member. And this really reflects our high level of partner engagement and also our tried and tested project methodology. We got offices here in the UK, in the US, and in Canada. And you'll work with our central Intacct implementation team. And this means that we have local knowledge as well as expertise from the other countries, which only really adds to the rich pool of resources we have available for you. We are a privately held company with 2 major shareholders, so we are operating without any external investments. So you can really count on us as a partner with a strong, sustainable business model to be there for you long term. Furthermore, we're also a software developer and have built several enhancement applications. For example, a leading integration platform called Saltbox. This is a middleware that can connect to anything. So if you have any other business systems you need to connect with your finance system, we can do that too. So just to show you some customer examples here, the reason why I put this up is to demonstrate that Intacct can work in any sector, and also to show that we at Vision33 have experience working across industries. We have customers within, for example, hospitality, recruitment, retail, regulated industries such as the healthcare sector, not-for-profit organizations, business and financial services, etc., etc. Lots of different companies come to us seeking help and support with implementing Sage Intacct. So it really doesn't matter which industry you come from or what system you are currently using. We have seen all kinds of different scenarios, and that is really where our experience comes into the picture. And we'll make sure that you have a smooth transition to Sage Intacct. In terms of the solution, Sage Intacct is what we refer to as the best of breed finance system. Sage Intacct is a modular and flexible finance system that caters for a wide range of company sizes, from small businesses to enterprise level. But to differentiate it with other solutions such as Microsoft or perhaps Oracle NetSuite, it gives you far more flexibility on the level you like to start at. And you can choose exactly what you want and then add more users, modules, and capabilities as and when you need it. Intacct is also what we say a true cloud software. In fact, it was one of the first true cloud business systems and born around the same time as, for example, Salesforce and NetSuite in '99. This means Intacct was built as a cloud solution from the ground up with web browser technology, tab functionality, drill down capability, and all the data in real time, for example. And it's accessible from anytime, from anywhere, and as long as you have an internet connection. It's also important to make a clear distinction between true cloud and other systems that later perhaps moved to the cloud or offer a cloud version of the software. What often can happen with those software is that a lot of the functionality you'll need is only available from the desktop version, which means that you're kind of drawn back into that old way of working again with less flexibility and security, upgrade difficulties, and not to forget the added cost of maintaining the hardware servers. As a true cloud solution, there are no hidden costs, as all the costs are embedded into the solution and shared among all customers, such as hardware maintenance, security updates, hosting, etc. And all the software updates happen automatically in the background for Intacct. And that's without any need for you to stop what you're doing or pay extra and get help from a third-party provider to manually install updates. There are 4 major updates per year and smaller ones happening in the background throughout the year. And Sage Intacct can work in any sector and has unique modules and reports that cater for your typical industry vertical. This is really where its dimensional accounting model comes into play. Well, Emma will speak more about this, but what that essentially means is that you'll have extra dimensions which you can use to tag transactions for reporting and analysis, and start really slicing and dicing the data to get more in-depth information on, for example, the performance of a particular service compared with another, or compare again with different regions or other segmentation that you may have. And also, in terms of user adoption, Sage Intacct was really designed for finance professionals, and you'll have an easy to use and intuitive platform to help you with all your daily activities. Now, whether you are operating in one country or in various countries, whether you are a single entity or have multi-entity structure, it doesn't really matter. Intacct will support you either way. For multi-entity organizations, there is capabilities such as multi-entity consolidation, intercompany transaction capabilities, multi-currencies, etc. But as I said, it doesn't really matter where you are today. Due to its infrastructure, it will scale with you as you grow. And again, due to this architecture and open API, there are many third-party providers that have built enhancement applications or integrated their applications with Sage Intacct. And you'll find these on the Sage Intacct marketplace, which is kind of like an app store on an iPhone, for example. But this is really brilliant because from time to time, there may be an application that would provide that little extra value to you. And if it's here on Sage Intacct's marketplace, it means that they are already tested and approved by Sage Intacct themselves. And we are here, for example, with our Saltbox solution, which is the integration platform I mentioned earlier. I spoke earlier about how Sage Intacct and we at Vision33 support you throughout your journey with Sage Intacct. And this doesn't stop after you go live. We at Vision33 will always be here for you. But the idea with Sage Intacct is that you are empowered at any time to self-help. And within your account, you have access to support. You have the Sage user community as well, where users discuss really anything about Intacct, really. And there is also a rich resource center called Sage University, where you can find all type of learning materials, even longer courses. But as I said, we'll be here to guide and support you and make sure that, for example, you are aware of the new updates that are coming each quarter. You can see here on the screen that they will notify you ahead of each quarterly update and give you the release notes with all the nitty-gritty details, which we, of course, can take you through so you fully understand them. And Copilot, well, Sage Intacct also have their own Copilot, which really takes the support even further. Here you'll essentially be able to chat with the system on anything you need help with. And this is constantly being developed. And what's coming up is pretty exciting. There is a variance analysis capability, which they are looking to release soon, which helps you analyze your data even further and deliver quite incredible insights for your entire organization. But more on that when it happens. Well, that was end of my section. I will now hand over to Emma to start the demonstration.
Thank you so much, Linda. I'm going to be taking you all through a little bit of the Sage Intacct demo this afternoon. I'm going to cover a handful of bits and bobs today, mainly core financials, reporting, and I'll also sort of carry on with Linda's introduction to the concept of dimensions. I know we've got people on the call from different sectors, so not-for-profit, general business, retail, professional services, and so on. I will try to remember to be inclusive, but please, if I reference a P&L, know that the functionality I'm referencing would also be available for a SOFA, an SORP, and so on. So this is what you'll see when you first log into Intacct. This is the home page. And like Linda said, you've got help and support here in the top right, and you can access help on this page. You can search help using the Copilot. You can access Sage University from here, and you've also got the Help Center. Okay. You can also use the search functionality. This is a global search across all of Intacct. So if I pop into here and I know that I've done some transactions for a company called Singleton Brothers. So if I just type in Singleton here and click go, it's going to have a look throughout Sage Intacct and bring me through some information, which hopefully will help me identify the transaction that I need to find. So you see here, we've got AP payments, so accounts payable payments for Singleton Brothers. We've got GL entries, so the general ledger. We've got purchasing information. It's taken me to the supplier record as well, and then some of the AP purchase invoices and so on. So a really powerful tool to help you find what you need to without sort of having to trawl through all the different modules. Something else I should show you, as Linda said, Sage Intacct is a multi-entity platform. So here we've got our top level, and for this particular demo instance that I've got here, I've got the US holding company, Canada, the UK, which I'll primarily use given that the majority of you guys are UK based, Australia and South Africa. I've also got my application picker here, and this will bring me through all the different modules that I've subscribed to. Now, obviously, being a demonstration instance here, I've got pretty much every single thing that you can think of in this system. Yours will probably be slightly less busy than this. So yes, just bear with me with all of these different modules. Okay. So, as you'll know, Sage Intacct is widely recognised for its powerful reporting capabilities, and it's also known for its dimensional capabilities, which we're going to come on to. What I'm going to take you into is one of my Sage dashboards. And you'll see from my list here, I've got a bit carried away and I have built quite a few. So let's go into the CFO Global View dashboard here. Now, I've built this dashboard thinking about what a CFO or a member of the exec team would want to look at. Like I said, this demo environment has been set up with lots of entities across lots of countries. So this here is a consolidated dashboard that covers all entities. The CFO can see what's happening across the business with this one-page overview. So you can see I've got performance cards for total revenue, revenue services, I've got operating expenses, I've got a graph that shows my revenue across the locations, so my global revenue and net income across a period of time. Now, this is just an example dashboard, but hopefully it gives you a flavour of the depth and the comprehensiveness of the reporting in Sage Intacct. There's lots of visuals here which can provide a quick view of how the different entities are performing, both individually and together. Okay, so everything on this dashboard is drillable. So if I wanted more information on, say, my direct labour costs, I can click into here and it's going to bring me through onto the report, which basically has generated the 357 130. And then again, I can keep drilling down into my reports, keep going until I find the exact transactions. So I've gone right down to a journal entry here and I can see exactly the information that's generated those figures on the dashboards. And when I'm done, I just click done. I think I close that one off, close that one too, and I'm back in my dashboard here. Okay, so this applies to anything you see on the dashboard, so the graphs, the performance cards, anything. So it's just really, really useful, I find. As an ex-SEMA management accountant myself, this brings me great joy. So this is obviously quite high level because it's a CFO dashboard. If you wanted to go a bit more granular or in depth, I've got a lot of other dashboards here that I've created. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my UK entity and I'll show you my AP dashboard. Okay, so again, using my application picker and going into dashboards, I have got here an AP manager dashboard. So let's view this one. Okay, so here we should be able to see a really quick snippet of what's going on in accounts payable for the entity that I'm in. Okay, so I'm in my United Kingdom entity and I'm probably going to stay here for the majority of today's demo. I can see really quickly what my AP balance is, what my intercompany balance is, and how much cash I've got in hand. Now, if only that was my real bank balance. You can add comparators to all of these performance cards. So at the moment, you can see I've done it via prior month here, but you could do it via your budget, prior year, and so on. So these are just a couple of examples of basically how you could set up a dashboard and utilize them. It gives you a really quick way of having everything on the same page. And you can actually start on this page every time you log into Intacct. So if you are a subject matter expert and you only really want to know about accounts payable, you can start from here and then straight away you could create an invoice. You could go straight into approve some invoices, pay some invoices, and so on using these quick links. Okay. So the dashboards are all bespoke and would be built out based on your requirements, and that's all part of the implementation process, which I'm sure you can discuss with Linda or her colleague Rory at a later time. As you'll be aware, we build Intacct to suit your company's needs, so roles, workflows, and reporting structure. So I'm going to move back into my top level to talk to you about dimensions. So Intacct is what we call a dimensional system. So instead of using sort of endless GL codes, so you might be used to, and I certainly was, quite a large chart of accounts where you'd maybe have revenue for X service, revenue for Y service. In here, you can have a much more concise chart of accounts and it helps you to organize transactions in a much more intuitive way. Intacct uses dimensions like department or project, location or employee. My dimensions are over here. So let me give you a show. So I've got classes, departments, employees and locations. So if we have a quick look at departments, okay, you can see these would help you categorize your transactions into different buckets in the system to be able to report on later. I can also set up sub-departments and these would roll up. So you can see here I've split sales creative and sales design and they both roll up into what we would call a parent department called sales. Okay, let's translate this into an actual transaction. So let's go in and raise an accounts receivable sales invoice. For this, I'm going to go back into the UK entity and into accounts receivable. And you can see here AR sales invoices. Okay, so I'm going to click on ads, and what you'll see here is a very typical transactional entry screen. It really shouldn't be very different to anything that you've seen or used before. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a customer. I like to use Emma's Flowers. There we go. You can add in a reference number and a description at header level if you wish. You can select a term, so when you want this invoice to be paid. I'm going to go for net 15 today. If your customer had a PO number, you can pop it in there. This is actually a custom field that I've created for one of my other clients, but very easily done. So if there's any additional information that you wanted to have on the face of your sales invoice, you can work with me and the team when we come to the implementation. I'm going to stay in GBP because we are in the UK entity, and that's nice and easy. The exchange rate is 1. Okay, so with my account, and again, this will all be very familiar for you guys. I'm going to try for revenue services. Oops, let's have a look. Let me just scroll down. I think I maybe went for, there we go, 40100. I knew it started with a 4. There we go. And then I'm going to put in a transaction amount. So let's say £12,000. And that would ordinarily be what you would do in a traditional finance system. Now, this is where the dimensions come in. So you can see here, I've got department, class, employee, project, memo, and so on. So in my department, I'm going to pick services. In my class, I'm going to say service line 1. This is almost like your service type, and you can rename these dimensions to make them more meaningful for your business, your organization, company. You can pick an employee as well. I'm going to go for, I normally pick on Emma Penny because she's at the top. And you can also pick a project. So I'm going to go for Sage Intacct implementation, given that that's my day job. You can put in a memo. So this is different from the description. The description is your overall description, and these memo fields are at line level. So if I put in another line, I could put in a different description in here, a different memo. Okay. For my tax, I'm going to say no VAT output for now. So you can see that's just brought 0. But as you'll see, we've got all the different UK VAT rates in here. Okay. And now I'm going to post. Hopefully I haven't missed any fields. It's always the moment of truth when I'm doing these demos. There we go. So we can see we've got Emma's Flowers here. Oh, look, last time I did the demo, I was 15,000. I've gone for 12,000 this time. Okay. So basically what you've seen is us tagging that transaction with dimensions so we get more granular information. So with the dimensions, let's go back in and view my transaction here. Okay, for class, I've chosen service lines. If you're a charity, you might want to put something like restricted or unrestricted funds in here. Obviously, you can tag projects, locations, employees, and these dimensions are available in accounts payable as well. So if you did tag your transaction as, say, restricted or unrestricted funds, you could then report your money going in and out for your restricted and unrestricted funds, respectively. And obviously that's the same for departments, employees, projects, and so on. Okay. So if you purchase projects, which is what I've got here, you can also tag a project on an invoice and then use this information to bill back to a customer. You can probably tell there's loads of potential uses for the dimensional tagging. You can use all of the different dimensions to tag the invoice into a very specific bucket in the system. Horrible words, but what that translates to is that you can run your reports now and slice and dice the data using these dimensions or tags. So let's look at reporting, one of Intacct's core strengths. Okay, so I'm just going to go to top level to show you initially, and I'm going to go into reports and the report center. And what you'll see from the outset is you get a lot of what we call out of the box reports with Sage Intacct. So there are a fair few here for you to sort of knock yourself out with, have a play with, and so on. Okay, so yeah, the financial report writers for things like your P&L, your balance sheet, SOFA, SORP. We also have a custom report writer, and this allows you to create reports with any financial and non-financial information that you have in the system. Okay, so I'm going to run my P&L detail first off, and what I've done is I have put stars next to the ones that I use frequently, so it just reduces that list down to my favorites. Okay, I'm going to run profit and loss detail. It's going to be relatively small because it will only contain the transactions that I've put into my demo system, but I hope that gives you an idea of how quickly the reports run. And what I'm going to show you is that although this is just currently bringing my P&L for my month, randomly I'm working in 2019 today. We'll not go into to why I think it's 2019. It's Wednesday, isn't it? It's been a long week already. Let me show you how quick it is to edit that to split it out by dimension. So if I just close that report and come back in, I'm going to edit my profit and loss detail here. I'm going to click edit. Obviously, this isn't a training session. You don't need to remember how I do this. If I go into my columns, what I'm going to do is say, actually, I want this to run for the current year, and I'm going to expand it out by time period. I'm going to expand it out by months and set that. And then I'm just going to click on preview. And you can see instantly, pretty much instantly, we've now got the exact same report as we had before, but split to show you the entire, this is a calendar year this time. If you don't run calendar years, I have picked fiscal year rather than current year. So obviously calendar year and fiscal year can be different for your different organizations. There we go, super quick. And obviously time periods are not the only dimension that you can split by. So if I cancel out of that one, I won't save my changes because I'll be needing that next time I run a demo. But let's go back into my favorites and we can see we've already got a profit and loss by department here. So I'm just going to run this one. I'll leave all my selections there. So actually I'm running this one for the US, so apologies, it is in US dollars, but you know, you'll be able to get to grips with what we're doing here. So you can see I've got my departments across the top, but I've also got year ending. And if we scroll across to the right, I've also got month ending here as well. So it's really powerful in terms of what you want to see, how you can split your data out, like Linda said, and I think I've used the same phrase, slice and dice your data. With anything that's in blue, you can actually drill down from the reports. So if I click into this number here, it's going to bring me into my general ledger report. And again, I can keep drilling down until I get to that level of detail, that granular detail that I need, either to write my variance analysis or to see what I need to amend because maybe there's been a misposting and so on. I'll just close that down. I'll close that one as well. Okay. So yeah, like I said, this P&L is split out by department, but you could split out by any of the dimensions that you've set up in Intacct. And if I just show you, go back into our list of reports, I scroll down to the P&Ls, some of your out-of-the-box reports, you've already got the detail by class, customer, employee, item, project, and so on. So it very much gives you a great starter for 10 when you come to use Sage Intacct. Obviously, you can run it for your balance sheet as well. And like I said earlier, I know I'm referring to P&L and balance sheet, but for any of your not-for-profit accounts as well, this would be exactly the same. So if we just run our balance sheet detail, we'll say OK. You can see here I've got it running for 3 different months, bringing me through my balance sheet. If I come back and I edit, again, I have the option to expand here by any of my dimensions. So you can see here, department, location, class. Class, you could read grant or fund type, customers, suppliers, and so on. So editing reports, as you can see, is very simple. So the P&L, let's go back up to top level. Okay, and into reports and my report center. Okay, back into my P&L detail, and I am going to edit this one. I'll do it by department. Here we go. And what I'm thinking is actually, I don't want this one to be by department. I would prefer this one to be by class. So I'm going to set that. I'm going to do the same for all 3 columns. Class there, class here, preview. Okay, and now rather than having things like my admin department and so on at the top, you can see I've got my classes here as well. Something that's really nice as well is that you can duplicate reports that are already in the system. So if you've got one that's kind of close, but you maybe want to change the dimension that you're analysing it on, you don't need to start again. You can click duplicate. It will copy that exact report over. Then you can make your changes like I have here, save it, obviously give it a name. So rather than by department, it says by class. And then you're done and you're up and running with another report. Okay. So just while I'm in at top level, I'm going to show you a consolidated profit and loss. So this is it here. And again, you can see we've got different prompts. So if you did want to filter as you run, you can do that too. I'm going to leave it with all the departments and locations for now. Okay, so you can see I've got all my different entities across the top now. This particular consolidation book I've used consolidates into US dollars. You can obviously choose your consolidation currency, and also this sort of functionality is available for domestic consolidation, so all in GBP as well. And Intacct will eliminate the intercompany postings for you. So if I just go back and run that report again, you'll see here the reporting methods. At the moment, I've got global location selected. I could choose non-US, global GBP. These are all my consolidation books that I've set up, and I'll move on and show you a bit more about those shortly. Okay, so if I just rerun this report, you can see again, even though these are all different entities, we've still got the ability to drill down and look at those numbers. So something else you can do with the reports is you can schedule them to be emailed, saved to Google Drive, SharePoint, or whichever online filing system that you use. It's great for month-end automation. So if I just show you in more actions, edit schedule, you'll be able to see here that I could add filters on if I wanted. This is the main thing I'm interested in, is the schedule. So I would say start today. I probably would want it to end at some point. So I'm going to say end after a number of occurrences, probably 12 occurrences, and once a month. So I'm going to say every 1 month. And then ideally, I'd want this to run at the end of the month because it's going to be part of my month-end reporting. So I'll tick that checkbox. And then you can see here the delivery options. So like I said, you can choose to email it out. You'd obviously put the addresses in here, a subject, and you can also pick the report type. So depending on whether people have access to Intacct or whether you prefer Excel over CSV and so on, you've got those types there. You can store an Intacct and you just need to give the report a description and then it's run for you. And then, like I said, you can also store it in the cloud. So what you'd need to do there is basically put in the file path and then Intacct will post it there on the day that it's set to run. Okay, so that is a little bit of a crash course on dimensions and how they give you flexible, powerful ways to slice and dice your data, whether it's for reporting or day-to-day transactions. It can be a relatively new concept. It certainly was for me after years of using other systems. So you can Google it, there's things on YouTube, or of course you can speak to Linda or Rory and they can put you in touch with me, Hamza, any member of our implementation team, and we can of course discuss it in more depth with you. Okay, so I'm just going to pivot a little bit back into data entry to see how Intacct handles revenue recognition. Okay, so I'm going to go into accounts receivable sales invoices. So here we go. And obviously something that's really important to a lot of our clients is being able to manage how revenue actually hits the ledger. And that's where we can start to think about things like revenue recognition, revenue management, and so on. So typically, and this was certainly my experience, if you wanted to do revenue management in some systems, you'd post the invoice, then manually defer it to a deferred revenue account. And then every single month, you'd have to remember to move a proportion from deferred revenue into revenue. With Sage Intacct, you can actually set up deferred revenue schedules. A bit of a Blue Peter moment. So here is an invoice that I posted earlier. So it is invoice number 0488. Oops. There we go. I'll just search for that one and let's go in and have a look. Okay, so I'm just going to go into the posting details tab first off, and you'll be able to see here that it has posted to deferred revenue. Okay. And then let me show you the revenue sort of schedule as well. So if we go back into the transaction, show details, you can see here RevRec, revenue recognition. I've picked a 12-month template, when it starts, and what my deferred revenue account would be. If I click view schedule, let's open this up so it's a bit bigger for you all. You can see I haven't actually started this because, again, it's for my demo system. I like to have it here so I can show you all how it would work. But here we go. We've got it split out over my 12 months and going to that 1,000. Obviously, once a revenue recognition schedule is running, you can edit, terminate, or pause, and that is all tracked within the system. And actually, you can see those buttons on the top right here. Okay, we also support prepaid expenses in the same way, obviously just the other way around. Okay, moving on to purchasing then. So purchasing and Intacct supports a really robust workflow. Staff can raise purchase requests directly. We have purchase approval workflows, supplier management, and so on. So if I just go into purchasing, go and let's have a look at a purchase requisition. Okay, so PR13, Hamza's new laptop. Honestly, every system I go into, Hamza's bought another laptop. So I think he might be running a side business here. Let's go in and have a look. So if we go into the history, and we've got this approval history here, you can see, let me open that up a bit bigger again, that we've got value approval set up here, and it's gone through. The approver was Emma. You're welcome, Hamza, another laptop, and it's been through and been approved. The other thing you can see here is the history, and this is basically the workflow that it's gone through. So we started off with a purchase requisition, and you can see that that's been converted. Now we've also got a purchase order, which was converted from this original purchase requisition. And then from the purchase order, we've got a vendor/supplier invoice here too. Okay, and you can actually access these from this screen. So I can go and have a look at the associated purchase order. You can see the number, and you can see that once again, it's the laptop for Hamza. We've got an attachment here. You can see what it was converted from and so on. And exactly the same with the invoice. So if we just go and open the invoice up, again, we've got the posting details. We can see where it's posted, and we've got the history. So we can see again what workflow this particular purchase transaction or purchase workflow went through. So that's just one example. You can actually customize your workflows for different teams and different use cases. So I'll just pop up to the top level again and go into purchasing and transaction definitions. If I click display workflows, you'll see we've got several different workflows working within this demo environment. Probably the most standard one is sort of like your purchase order, then you've got your receiver, your invoice, and then some returns or a debit memo, so maybe a credit note, and so on. But obviously, we would work with you as part of your implementation and build the workflow that works with your particular way of working. Okay. So as we mentioned earlier, we do support multi-entity and multi-currency consolidation. So I'm going to go into the consolidation module here, and I'll show you the books. So you might recognize these names from when I ran the consolidated reports. Let's go and have a look at one of these books. So let's have a look at, let's go for North American locations. If I go in and edit, you can see I've given it a name. I've chosen the currency. I've chosen the entities to consolidate. So I've got the USA, my holding company, and Canada. I have enabled inter-entity auto elimination. And you can see here the elimination accounts. They've been automatically put in there by Sage Intacct. And then I've added a couple of other ones as well that I want to be eliminated as part of my consolidation. The system handles the eliminations automatically. And then just in terms of intercompany postings, because I'm conscious of the time here, I'm just going to go up into cash management and funds transfers. Okay, and what I've done here is I've transferred funds between two of my bank accounts in different entities. So if we go and just view this and have a look at the posting details, you can see this is the transaction that I did. So I moved money from my Bank of Canada to the Bank of England, and Intacct automatically generated this inter-entity journal. So you can see we've got due from and due to there. Right, so running a consolidation is really simple. So if I go back to my consolidations, click run, literally all I have to do, maybe I'll pick a different one because we're not quite done there. Here we go. Just tick that one and click consolidate in the top right, and it will email me when that's complete. You can see it's done up to May 2020, so we're now going to go for June. The blue means that it's in progress, and very shortly that will be completed. Okay, so Intacct does make cash management pretty seamless. I'm going to go into the top level. I'm going to stay in the top level because I think that's where I've put my bank and my current account. Okay, and this bank 100, it is pending reconciliation at the moment. Let's go and have a look. Go into bank rec. Okay, so I'm going to choose the bank I'm going to reconcile. Obviously, still working in 2019 today with a statement ending balance. This is where you would put in the correct information and what your actual bank statement ending balance is. Okay, you can see I've got a lot of Intacct transactions in here. I've also got a tab with my bank transactions. Now these have come through via a bank feed. And then I think I've got the Heart and Vascular Clinic here. If I click match, hopefully on the other side, I've got the Heart and Vascular Clinic here too. I can click on that one and you'll see at the bottom, the amount remaining to match is 0. So then I would click match and move on to the next transaction that I want to reconcile. Once I've got the entire bank rec, I've still got a lot of work to do. Look at that, 23 million out. Once that's down to 0, then I can click reconcile. While I'm still working through it, which I think is going to take me a little while, I can just save as I go. Okay, so that's a really high-level walkthrough of Intacct across dashboards, transactions, reporting, and automation. And I'm going to pass back to Linda now. So thank you so much for listening. And like I did say, if you've got any questions or anything that you particularly wanted us to go through, please do get in touch with Linda or Rory, and they'll be able to organise another session. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Emma. Great. And as I said before, I'll follow up with you individually to hear your feedback, answer any questions, and perhaps even set up further demo sessions if there is anything more you'd like to see. So there's plenty of opportunities to continue exploring Sage Intacct. So I think we'll close the session for today. So thank you so much, all of you, and I'll see you soon.